Are you out of your mind? Have you not seen me lose my mind enough this year? What is the matter with you, you idiot?
Yeah, what is the matter with you, you idiot? You lied your way into a seat in Congress, you continued the lies to your constituents and the media, and got expelled from the House of Representatives, something that's only happened 5 times in America's history, and 3 of those 5 times were for siding with the Confederacy during the Civil War. But sure, yeah, Chris is the insane one. Come on. Well, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, you've just seen George Santos' newest career choice after being ousted from Congress, creating content on Cameo.
Hey, JC. Hey, Set Yefrican. Hey, Cindy. Chris, you sick psycho.
To be fair, it seems to be a bit more lucrative than creating content on YouTube, so really, who am I to talk? But today, we're not here to discuss George Santos' future career, but instead to talk about what happened earlier this month in the House of Representatives. Let's break down the circumstances of Santos' expulsion and find out how this affects his current pending federal criminal charges. To fully understand why and how George Santos was expelled, it's important to understand the process of expelling a member of Congress. As I mentioned before, this has happened now only 6 times. This isn't a casual Friday at the office. This is kind of a big deal. Despite being such a big deal, the rules surrounding expelling a member of Congress are fairly straightforward. Article 1, Section 5 of the United States Constitution provides that each House of Congress may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. And that's it. Both the House and the Senate have full discretion over what behavior to vote on, and all they need to expel a member is 2/3 of the House to vote. Yay! Which in Santos's case, if all 435 members of the House were to vote, would be 290. But in the end, 311 members voted to expel the congressman. But what exactly did he do to get 311 members, who rarely agree on anything, to agree to kick him to the curb and launch his Cameo career? The general consensus is that the final nail in Santos's coffin was the release of the House Ethics Committee report that detailed allegations of stolen campaign money, fake loan reports, and fraudulent business dealings. The stolen money has made many headlines due to Santos's alleged spending on designer clothing, OnlyFans purchases, and Botox. The 56-page report also included a list of Santos's infamous lies regarding his education and career. But how does this list of sins compare with the failings of prior expulsionees? Well, as I said, 3 of the other 5 people were Missouri representatives who sided with the South in 1861. So, knocking them out was an easy choice. The other 2 departures were Democrats who were convicted in court of bribery, and for one of them, also some other crimes. So for starters, we can say Santos' situation is different. He's not a seditionist, and he's not yet been convicted of anything. And of course, there's so much noise around him that sometimes it's a little hard to keep your eye on the target. But the noise, really, the noise is the fun part. The noise is the fodder for late night comedians. And I don't want to forget it. Like the time that he said he didn't party and drag in Brazil, but he did. And there were photos. Or the time Santos claimed to be a producer of the Broadway version of Spider-Man. Then there's the time he said he went to Baruch on a volleyball scholarship. Who says that? During the pandemic, he claimed that he was a landlord with tenants who didn't pay. Not true. He claimed to have received a master's from NYU and to have worked for 2 major Wall Street banks. All false. Remember that he said his mother died from 9/11? Not even close. He also said he was Jewish and then later Jewish, but neither of those things is true. In fact, he lied so much about how much money he had, he was reporting 20 to 40 times his actual income. He created fake donors to launder lots of money into his campaign, and then he even pretended to be a staffer for Kevin McCarthy. All wild and untrue. Amazingly, none of the previous 85,000 lies that we just reviewed was the real basis for his expulsion, because to understand how the government works, you really have to follow the money. For Santos, he was caught between a rock and a hard place, because while you can tell a couple dozen lies that are designed to make you look good, when you're reporting money to the Federal Election Commission, for the most part, you either get it right or you are crying. And money can be so binary, often not the subject of opinions, that you either report correctly or you don't. And for Santos, he don't, at least allegedly. But, don't take my word for it. Here's the actual series of allegations. I shouldn't say allegations. The actual series of conclusions from the House Ethics Committee. Representative Santos sought to fraudulently exploit every aspect of his House candidacy for his own personal financial profit. He blatantly stole from his campaign. He deceived donors into providing what they thought were contributions to his campaign, but were in fact payments for his personal benefit. He reported fictitious loans to his political committees to induce donors and party committees to make further contributions to his campaigns. Then he diverted more campaign money to himself as purported repayments of those fictitious loans. He uses connections to high-value donors and other political campaigns to obtain additional funds for himself through fraudulent or otherwise questionable business dealings. Now, the House committee relied heavily on the ISC report. In fact, they just unanimously adopted it. And that report focused on just three things, really: campaign finance violations, financial disclosure violations, and frustrating the ISC investigation effort. And because Santos has pending criminal charges, he's functionally gagged. He has a Fifth Amendment right to zip his lips vis-a-vis the criminal charges, but that means he couldn't have meaningfully defended himself in the ISC investigation. And so he got bounced. 311 of his colleagues agreed to kick him out, and many of those were in his own party. I want all of us to remember George Santos, not to celebrate him or to enjoy what he did, but the lies were crazy. They were unhinged. Some of them, they weren't exaggerations. They were like whole cloth. They weren't always advantageous. Some of them, like the volleyball scholarship lie, they were just ego. They weren't crafty. They were like capable of verification, non-verification. I mean, schools keep records of their graduates. Goldman Sachs will answer questions about whether someone worked there. A lot of the lies were just weapons-grade stupid, but also harmless. Santos has stated that he will not be running for re-election, but is steadfast in his belief that the House rushed to expel him, considering he has not yet been convicted of crimes. Keyword, yet. Which is why I fully believe that this is not the last time that we will be talking about George Santos on this channel. But what do you think? Do you agree with Santos that the House should have waited for a resolution of the federal criminal charges, or were they right to vote after the damning Ethics Committee report? Please drop your pro se opinion regarding Santos' expulsion down below, and make sure you check out my other breakdown of George Santos' federal charges. I will be back soon with more content, so you gotta hit the subscribe button. See you later, volleyballers. The rules of proceedings on designer clothing